Hello, everybody. Today is Friday, May 29th. This is the Cloud Provider AWS biweekly meeting. I am your moderator, facilitator, Justin Santa Barbara. I work at Google. A reminder, this meeting is being recorded and will be put on the internet on YouTube shortly. And to therefore please be mindful of our code of conduct, which essentially is to be a good person. We don't have too many people here today, so we probably don't need it, but please do raise your hand if it gets contentious. I am pasting a link to the agenda in our chat. Feel free to add items there. Feel free to add your names on there, although I think almost everyone already has. We have just 3 items on the agenda, so it might not be a full-length meeting. The first one is one I added, which is actually about 2 weeks ago. We also had a discussion about labels, and it's another one came up in sort of COPS, but it's really an add-on from Pusher that handles spot termination notifications, and it expects a label on the nodes which it should apply to. I'm not sure this is actually needed in that there are also other notifications that apply to non-spot instances, but I think the challenge was that the Pusher annotation was a node role, which is controversial. It isn't scoped to Kubernetes. Sorry, it isn't scoped to AWS in any way. And so I was wondering whether we wanted to try to figure out a better or a more AWS specific label that we could sort of agree on. I feel like this might be a better topic for Cloud Provider, let's say Cloud Provider like overall meeting, because then we could try to establish some hierarchy and say AWS gets this and GCP gets this type thing. But I don't know if anyone had any initial thoughts, but otherwise I was going to go to SIG Cloud Provider on Wednesday and propose something along those lines.
Yeah, we had our meeting this week, so it'd be the Wednesday after. But my initial, I mean, I don't know how Pusher works and how spot termination handling works, so I don't, I can't say much. But my initial gut feeling would be, if it's a AWS specific behavior, then it should be an AWS specific label or annotation, unless like all the other providers are saying like, oh, we have the same kind of use case, and so maybe we do need there's a use case for like a Kubernetes namespace label.
Yeah, and 2 weeks ago it came up with, I think, machine type and machine family, where it's even more like, so spot is, most clouds have some notion of spot or preemptible instances, but the machine types, everyone seems to have a notion of machine type, but the values aren't comparable. So it's going to be a fun one, I think, to discuss there.
Yeah, and like the contentious thing about like node roles is that like that specific label is useful because kubectl will read it and it'll show, and like in the get nodes output, like spot worker, and so like that's obviously helpful. And if you used an AWS specific label, you wouldn't see that.
Yes,
so yeah.
And I think users like that, but I think the people that disliked node role in general would presumably dislike us sneaking more in there.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, it sounds like we in AWS feel like some sort of AWS specific prefix is probably a good idea. Is that reading the room? And we should take it to SIG Cloud Provider and hash out some of the details.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, like my feeling is like if you don't want to be blocked, then, or like if you don't want to go through like people like fighting with people to allow this kind of thing, then probably just that. But I do see like a really valid use case for using the node role label. So I mean, like I think it's worth having that discussion for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we don't have to block people from setting the node role. I feel like we should avoid requiring people to set the node role. So and Pusher doesn't even, the Pusher termination handler doesn't even require it. It's just like it's the default value. So yeah. If there's nothing else on that one, Andrew, you have the next topic around the doc site.
Yes. So at the bottom, I linked to the actual doc site that Nick and I set up. It is literally like, it's blank. Like it just says like the Kubernetes AWS Cloud Provider has no content. And so I had opened a PR that kind of outlines the most basic kind of layout of the doc site that we can start with, and then we can maybe create an issue or do a call for help to see if folks are willing to like take parts of like sections of the doc site and open PRs to help us put that together. So I think, yeah, like it'd be great if folks can provide feedback on what kind of sections that they would expect from our doc site. I had a few ideas, but I'm sure there's people have opinions on what a doc site should look like. And I'm hoping we can solidify like the layout before the next meeting, and then we can start having a conversation about how to get folks to help us here.
Yeah, that looks really good. And the other one which occurred to me is the cloud config. I think it's cloud config YAML or cloud config ini. I don't even know what it's an ini file.
I hate that.
I just don't know if I don't even know if we should document it. But I mean, I feel like we should document it, but like carefully describe that it is advanced and like, sort of, but yes. But I think this looks really good. I imagine the service is going to be the biggest one. The service load balancers.
Yeah, and definitely like documenting some of the gotchas with like private host names and all that stuff. So yeah, okay. So yeah, please take a look at the PR and provide feedback on just like, yeah, again, like mainly just asking for like what the headers of the website should be. Okay. And I have the next item too, so I can go over that quickly. I had merged a PR the other week on the staging project so that we can have an official GCR image repo for the external cloud provider. So I'm going to work with Nick to set up a pipeline that pushes a tagged release on the external cloud provider repository to an image, and then we'll update the sample manifest we have to deploy the out-of-tree provider using that.
That sounds really great. Is it going to be a Prow or GCP type job, or what do you think you have in terms of the mechanics?
It'll probably be a Prow job, just because it works, and cool. we all like we have references to set it up. But we may I'm working with Nick because there may be a case where we want to push both a GCR image and ECR image that the folks at EKS manage. So we need to figure out what that might look like.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, I think we wearing the work group kits in. I've been sort of involved in some of that, and I think that the intention was always that at least the promotion should be able to target ECR as well. I don't know whether it's important. That isn't implemented, but we need, like, I think it was certainly like designed in the back of people's minds as they were designing it. And so if it's that the promotion at least would be able to promote to ECR and other repos and registries, and similarly on binary artifacts that it would be able to promote to GCS and S3 and other equivalent storage ones.
That's really good to know.
It's just that no one has yet implemented it. I don't know whether anyone cares about having staging on ECR.
Gotcha.
Nadir, did you want to mention? You put it in chat about the importance of documenting the ini file. Sounds like a battle scar.
Yeah, it's just because people can set passwords with different characters. It turns out yeah, so if you don't encode that correctly, bad things happen, at least on the vSphere provider.
Yeah, like it's interesting. Like it's interesting because like in the AWS provider, like you don't technically need the ini file. Like you can get things working without it, as long as you configure like the tags and everything correctly. Whereas with vSphere, like it's a hard requirement because of the credentials. So it'll be interesting to document that.
Sorry, Andrew, I missed the beginning of this conversation, but do we have the credentials for GCR at this point?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay.
What, you have them. You just you don't ever get.
I can set it up with Prow and hook it up to whatever. Yeah, but like I don't personally have the credentials because and that's intentional with the design. Yeah.
I actually think you do, you are able, if you are, as you are one of the owners, I think you can push to staging using your Gmail account.
Oh, okay.
If you log in, that's my understanding. And so the intention is that staging is not supposed to be a security boundary. The promotion is the security boundary.
Okay.
That's my understanding anyway. But we should push using code. Do we have anything else on the agenda? I'm just checking, switching tabs here. We have nothing else on the agenda. I don't know if anyone else has any other topics they want to bring up, or whether everyone gets a whopping 45 minutes back.
Let's end early.
I was just going to say, is it worth triaging anything that's come in?
We can do. Let's see. Let's see what we got. That's not a bad idea. I will try to present. Let's see. All right. I believe you can see the KK repo. Can you see the KK?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. I don't know what query we normally use, but I think we normally use something like this. Nick, you can keep me honest here. Or if, I don't know if, Nick, you would rather drive this as you've done this in the past.
Go ahead. Yeah, either recently updated or I kind of switch off.
Created.
Between, like the most common
start with
recently updated, but I think recently
There's
updated.
there's an area provider AWS label.
Yes, I just wasn't sure whether they all actually got tagged with that. So but again. What is it? Label area provider AWS. Otherwise I have to use the drop down. There we go. That doesn't feel like they are all getting labeled if the most recent one was 22 days ago.
Okay, good.
I will flick back to the overly broad one so we can sort of try to make sure that they get, okay, I guess we should go from, okay, actually there's a gap. So here we go. So if we go from, I guess, anything newer than let's look at this one because it looks interesting, and then we can work our way up, I guess. AWS error creating security policy on load balancer when using custom SSL negotiation policy. This sounds like another interaction between multiple of our various annotations. And I just don't know if anyone else, I'll at least tag this with AWS because this is clearly AWS. It certainly doesn't, it looks legitimate on scanning and it looks non-trivial, so I will leave it open. I don't know if we want to do anything other than that.
I think labeling it is a good start.
Okay. Next one up, node port service creation E2E test relies on insecure classic configuration. That sounds more like a testing issue, so that's fine. Or not really an AWS thing. AWS doesn't support local zone availability zones. Is this like outposts? Does someone know, Nick? What's a local zone?
No, you can create zones which are like city specific. We need to bump the SDK at the very least, and there's probably some other bits and pieces. I don't know.
Oh.
Down for everyone or just me? I wouldn't imagine this is that contentious that it's going to have thousands of comments, but we will see. Exit. Try again. All right. It's very clearly AWS, so I'll at least make sure that it's labeled with AWS. Why is that not working? Oh, it already is. All right. Let's try a different one and come back to that one. Okay, just a bad one. Let's just try reopening it again. Okay, there we are. Here it comes. All right. AWS releases local zones, and we probably just need to update the SDK. And AZ to region. Oh, because they have a different format. Okay.
Yeah, actually, so Jeff Wan is my coworker. He's working on this, I believe.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that'd be great to fix. Yeah, I'm just trying to think whether there's anything more we need to do beyond like updating the region inference. I mean, it is still a zone. It's just a more localized zone. Is that fair? All right, that seems like a good one. It looks like it's been triaged. I think we could put it in the milestone. Is that a good thing to do?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to add.
119?
Yeah, we can always bump it, but yeah. Since it's actively worked on.
Oh, in fact, there is a pull request. Yes, perfect. All right, well, I will have a look at that pull request. I'll make sure I'm assigned to it. Everyone's assigned to it. You're assigned to it as well, Nick. Okay. The next one on the list was this read-only NFS-based PVPVC allowing writes to the file system. Read-only. Okay. I don't know if this is AWS specific in any way. It doesn't look like it. So that sounds fine. I don't know where even AWS appeared. Oh, it's on AWS. Okay, so that is not our bug in that it's correctly labeled, and I will close it out or close the tab. Next one, pod with huge pages get stuck in state, terminating state on deletion. Doesn't sound like an AWS issue again, probably just running on AWS, yep, or maybe not even running on AWS, so that's not even an issue. Not able to use the desired security group when creating load balancer from Kubernetes. That feels like an AWS issue. It is an AWS issue, so we will make sure it's labeled. And again, our annotations, created the load balancer. Install tool is blank. That's, I cannot read that. Oh, there we go. The error revoking. Okay, that's a little weird. It might well be a tagging issue or something. I suspect, oh, because it's internal. That is interesting. I don't know if anyone has any ideas on what this is right off the bat.
Can you go back to the error? I couldn't see it.
Sure, sorry.
Got it.
It feels like it is appropriately labeled. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, can you sign me this one? I'll take a closer look.
Thanks, Nick. All right. And actually, was that? Yeah, that was just an internal load balancer. That does feel surprising. All right, services should be able to preserve UDP traffic when something, this sounds like pure networking, nothing to do with AWS, probably. There we go. Yes, I don't think this is gonna have anything to do with AWS. Yeah. Or not on the surface AWS. Multiple load balancers in the same cluster compete with each other. doesn't necessarily feel like an AWS issue. Maybe a cloud provider issue. It is labeled as such. It's definitely a network issue. Can't access service port. That doesn't sound like an AWS issue. That sounds like likely a docs issue. 9080, but can't access 8090. It's making me read very carefully. Let's see. They are. Okay, I don't think this is an AWS issue. And it isn't. Good. Can't access service port. HPA with external metrics scales incorrectly. Doesn't sound like AWS again, but we will just have a quick little look. AWS. Okay, so nothing really to do with AWS per se, as far as we can tell, at least on the surface. And it's assigned to auto scaling, so that's good. Okay, sorry, my machine is being a little slow at times. I should beef up my streaming machine. Pods on unreachable kubelets are deleted, not evicted. Really doesn't sound like AWS, but we can click through. Yeah, it just appears to be only that it's running on AWS, but not an AWS issue. Kubelet should handle node shutdown. Ah, that's amusing. So actually, I'm going to, so this is related, very related to the initial topic that we had around these labels and hooks. And I know I was actually looking at this with a COPS contributor this week. There are a large number of these hook providers, I guess you'd call them. And we should probably think about doing something here. I'm not sure I would call it a, Andrew, what do you think about labeling this cloud provider and having the discussion there?
He dropped.
Ah, then I'll do it.
Yeah, just go for it.
I mean, I think there are two things, right? There's when we get a shutdown request, we should do the best thing we can, which would be a node issue. And there's this sort of behavior when, like, apparently GCE or AWS give us notifications that things are going to like a 30-second or 2-minute warning, then we can do something smarter there. And that one I think would be different. And I think that one would be cloud provider, I guess. And I'm going to write a comment as to why. Tagging with cloud provider for processing the cloud provider specific hooks. Processing shutdown signals is likely still a node. Okay. Priority-based preemption can easily violate PDBs, even when unnecessary due to multiple issues with the implementation. Doesn't sound like us in any way. We'll just click through and double check. I should probably close some of these tabs. Okay. Yeah, it's on AWS. Okay. And finally, in our most recently created issues that mention the word AWS, but are not necessarily so tagged, Kubelet neglects to mount all but one of a pod's CSI volumes that have the same volume handle, even though they have different volume attributes. This one's going to be trickier. But it looks like a storage issue and it is tagged as such. So at least on the surface, although, yeah, it doesn't seem to be, there's no accusation that it is AWS, so, or AWS specific. So we can leave that as it is.
He's also on my team, so I think he would have tagged it with provider AWS if it was.
Awesome, great. And so now, if we want to, we can have a quick look at labeled issues, labeled AWS that are recently updated and see whether there's anything we think is problematic. Skipping the 1, 2, 3 that we just went through. AWS friendly ELB names. I feel like we discussed that a lot. I don't know if there's a lot to.
Do we want to remove lifecycle routing on that one, if it's still relevant?
Yes. Sorry, I have to sort of sneak in under the. How do we mark it as? Is there a way to mark it as like perpetual, like never, don't rot?
Frozen, right?
Lifecycle.
Lifecycle frozen, I thought. Give it a try.
Looks good. Thank you. Okay. The external traffic policy local on AWS does not work if the DHCP of the VPC is not set exactly to this. That is surprising. Like in a triage, we don't necessarily need to address them all. It feels like that's progressing. Are there any people who want to call out, I guess, as things we should take a look at?
A lot of these.
I have one.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm pasting it in the chat. I guess it's a pull request, not an issue, but adding UDP support for NLBs.
Ah, that would be good.
Request's been open for a year, and code freeze is coming up according to a recent comment, so I figured it'd be worth bumping or something.
Yeah, last time we looked at this, I think well, I was going to say last time we looked at it, it was maybe not ready to merge and that we thought there might be a conflict, but it looks like that might have been fixed. So that map is what was missing before, I think. I will certainly have a look at this. Nick, do you want to have a look at this as well?
Looks like we responded to the bottom and got a response, so we should double check what the latest is.
Yeah. I'll certainly add myself to the assignees here. This is one which we get to get in.
Can you add me as well? Thanks.
5 assignees. That's a lot. Nick, were you, yeah, thanks Peter for calling attention to that one. Nick, were you about to say something about a lot of them being about NLB labels, was it, or what were you going to say?
I was just going to say that I recognize like these few here from last time, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't take another look at them. Looks like they were recently updated in the last few days, a lot of them.
Yeah, is there one we should start with, do you think, or?
Looks like there's a couple of feature requests there, and then yeah, we can take a look at these, like hostname override ignored.
That one I think we know about. This one I just thought was interesting. Deletes nodes before they become ready. Sorry for the yeah, good guess. Oh, yeah, this is very old, and there's a suggestion. So yeah, I think Andrew's asked a question, and that's probably leading to a close, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's waiting on input, so that's at the right place. Anything else? What should we hit next?
Can you check ELB security group not cleaned up when extra specified?
Yes, I remember that one. All right, so I think we've talked about this one before, so I'll scroll into the bottom and see why it got a me too. Who's assigned this? Moonfish is assigned this. Sounds like it might be related to the other one as well.
Can you assign me as well? And I'll just take a look after this.
Yeah. I'm also interested in this, but I'm not sure I'm gonna have time in these 2 weeks. So, but if you see anything interesting in there, let me know if you get time to have a look at it.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's see, any other ones that we think are, why don't we focus on the bugs? How about that? That's a label, kind bug. These are the ones we're seeing our own shadow here. Okay, so we have this external traffic policy local on DHCP. Should we see why that got pinged? Because that sounds particularly like a particularly tricky combination. Ah, okay, so there is a workaround. Okay, so I feel like that's in a good state right now. I can have a look at this. It sounds like there is a resolution.
So is there a resolution in 116 and above, and or what is the, where is the?
So there's this workaround, which is up in this same one.
There's a fix, apparently, but I'm wondering what version that fix was in.
Let's see. Thank you. It sounds like the fix is the fix is the workaround. I think.
I see. I see.
I think they're the same backlink. So it sounds like, yeah, I'm happy to have a look at this, and that it sounds like, you know, we can maybe do something in GOPS, like maybe we shout it to the docs, but we can at least figure out what the step is. Seems like, and then we can like get it into EKS and Kappa maybe.
Yeah.
It's a pretty rare combination. So actually, what is this? What cluster is this? This is a, it is a COPS cluster. So yeah, I'll take a look. Or the OP was a COPS cluster, although it sounds like it's on other providers as well. Hostname override ignored when cloud provider is specified. We are pretty sure that, I'm pretty sure we've seen this a lot. It's just true. Yeah. I'd love to fix this at some stage. This is the whole, like, you're not allowed to, the name of the node has to be the private DNS name, which we'd love to fix, but got stuck on storage, if I recall correctly last time. The storage controller uses node name instead of using the node. So wait, what actually happened there? Oh yeah, someone removed the label, so that's good. We could freeze it. Now you've taught me the trick.
So what is your understanding of the state of this? It's something that people want, but are there any proposed solutions or?
Yeah, so my understanding is if you try to pass a hostname, this flag called hostname override actually should be node name override. You can pass it to kubelet, and elsewhere you can change the name of the node that kubelet will create. If you're specifying a cloud provider, apparently this doesn't work. And in particular, it doesn't work on cloud provider AWS. The reason it doesn't work on cloud provider AWS, well, we can't support it on cloud provider AWS because unless you register with the correct, your node with the correct name, it's not gonna, like the AWS cloud provider is gonna not be able to reconcile your nodes to your EC2 instances because it matches them on private DNS name. Therefore, yes, we do not support it. It is ignored because if we were to listen, it would be bad. If we can change the AWS cloud provider to take as input always a v1 node instead of a string node name, then on the node object, first of all, that's a good change anyway because the node name is not a real identifier. Like it can be recycled, and it is recycled on.
So take in a node in like the functions, but also be able to query using more than just private DNS.
Yes. Yes. Taking in the node on the node object, there is the instance ID anyway. So it also means we don't have to do a translation because we have the instance ID right there. We could try to maintain our own mapping, but the fear is that if our mapping got out of sync, it would be bad. So yeah, the short answer is change all the cloud provider interfaces to take v1 nodes, and then we can no longer require the private DNS name, and then we can allow you to set whatever name you want for the nodes, whatever different name you want for the nodes, and then we can acknowledge the hostname override flag. It's less bad than it sounds. Like it's actually fairly mechanical. We just haven't done it, and I think it's because it crosses SIGs. I guess that's another one to bring up in Cloud Provider in 2 weeks. Is like I saw an email around a proposal for an instances v2 interface. That might be a good one to put in there. Is that a fair reason to keep it frozen? Okay. Should we keep going, or do people want some time back?
I'm going to have to drop in about 3 minutes.
All right, let's do one more, and then we can. You want to pick a doozy? Let's see. Nadir, do any of these cause you problems? That's not a great one, but.
Not that I know of.
Peter, any of these? Nick? This one sounds really bad, actually. Incorrect could be deletes the wrong security group. So let's find out how incorrect it is. And this can be a good one to end on, I think. If my poor little laptop. Someone did it with a iPad the other day, so maybe I should try that. Running a service, load balancer type, AWS. After deleting this service, the cleanup process enabled us to remove the wrong ingress input rule, which provoked that all traffic between nodes was unable to reach out the destination.
I actually did a bunch of investigation into this one, and I was able to reproduce a very similar issue, but not their exact issue. But it looks like this person says they have a patch for it, so we might need to look at that.
Yes. Okay. Oh, and there's a PR now from what I presume is Alberto, but
Okay, I think I should already be assigned to this, so I'll just have to look at this. Do you want to also review the, oh, cool. Yeah, I want to add me and then also review it.
Okay. Yeah, we should definitely have a look at that. Yeah, we should probably look at the PRs that are open. Oh, it's not tagged with AWS. That's frustrating. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll go through some PRs as well, see if any are, as we're coming out to feature free, see if any are tagged AWS, but not, or sorry, are not tagged AWS, but try to find any AWS PRs that should go in before feature free so that we can hopefully close out some of those issues that way. That would be an easier way to do it.
I'm going to have to take off, but see you guys.
Great seeing you, Nick. Should we call it time at this point? Cool. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Everyone gets a bit of time back, and I wish everyone a very happy Friday and a very happy weekend.
You too. See ya.
Have a great one.
Yeah.